I never thought the woman who birthed me would drive a stake through my heart with a goddamn for sale sign. But there it was, gleaming under the porch light like a middle finger from hell when I pulled up after 3 weeks of dodging grief in the Nevada desert. She didn't even flinch when I stormed through the door, keys jangling like handcuffs, and screamed, "What the fuck have you done, Mom?" Her only response a cool sip of Chardonnay and the words, "It's business, Gemma. Grow up." In that split second, as the realtor's brochures fluttered to the floor like confetti at my execution, I realized the house, the one Dad died defending, wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was the vault to every secret we'd buried. And I was done playing the loyal daughter while she auctioned off my soul for a quick buck. The drive back from Reno had been a blur of sagebrush and regret, the kind that clings to your skin like desert dust. I'd scattered Dad's ashes at that godforsaken overlook where he proposed to Mom 40 years ago, whispering promises to the wind that felt as empty as the urn in my passenger seat. Lake Tahoe shimmered like fool's gold in my rearview, mocking me with its postcard perfection. While my phone buzzed ignored notifications from the office, emails about zoning permits, historic preservation filings, the endless red tape that came with owning a slice of American history. The house wasn't just home, it was a federally protected landmark. A crumbling Queen and Victorian plopped in the middle of Sonoma County's wine country, valued at $2.8 million, not for its creaky floors or the ghost stories locals whispered about, but because it had once sheltered Underground Railroad fugitives back when California was still bleeding from the gold rush scars. I'd inherited it outright when Dad passed 6 months ago, his will as ironclad as the deed itself. For Gemma, it read in his shaky lawyer's script, "The keeper of our truths." Mom had seethed in the reading, her manicured nails digging crescents into the mahogany armrest. But she played nice, hugs in the foyer, casseroles that tasted like resentment. "We'll manage it together, sweetie," she cooed, her voice honey over gravel. Together. What a joke. While I'd been gone, playing dutiful daughter one last time, she'd turned our sanctuary into a flipper's wet dream. The sign hit me first, that garish red and white monstrosity with sold pending, already stamped in bold, like she'd been plotting this since the dirt on Dad's grave was fresh. I killed the engine of my battered Ford F-150, the truck Dad and I had rebuilt in the garage over summers sticky with engine grease and bad jokes, and sat there, engine ticking down like a bomb. The house loomed, its turrets silhouetted against the bruised purple dusk, windows glowing warm where they shouldn't. Strangers' voices drifted out, laughter slicing through the evening chill. Laughter. In my house. I grabbed the urn, empty now, but heavy with what it represented, and marched up the flagstone path, my boots crunching gravel like bones. The door was ajar, propped by a stack of real estate flyers, prime historic opportunity for BR/3BA, vineyard views, development potential, development. The word twisted in my gut. This wasn't some McMansion in the suburbs, it was on the National Register, bound by federal covenants that forbade demolition or resale without approval from D.C. Bureaucracy that moved slower than molasses in January. Mom knew that. She'd signed the disclosures herself, her signature a flourish of entitlement. Pushing inside, the scent hit me, her Chanel No. 5 warring with the musty oak of the parlor, overlaid by the sharp tang of fresh coffee for her little housewarming scam. There she was, Evelyn Hargrove, 58 going on eternal debutante, perched on the velvet settee, like she owned the joint, which, apparently, she now thought she did. Across from her sat a slick suit from Bay Area Realty, mid-40s, gelled hair and a smile like a used car salesman, flipping through comps on his tablet. And Mom? She looked up, not a hair out of place, pearls gleaming against her cashmere sweater, and raised her glass. Gemma, back so soon? We were just discussing the offer. The realtor, Mark something, his badge screamed, stood awkwardly, extending a hand I ignored. MS. Hargrove, pleasure. Your mother's been singing this place's praises. Solid bid at market value. Contingent on variances. Of course. Variances. The magic word that unlocked the chains. Mom had always been the charmer. The one who could sweet-talk county clerks over potluck ham. Dad called it her Southern sorcery, a holdover from her Georgia roots before she traded magnolias for Merlot. But this was forgery-level audacity. I'd locked the deed in a safety deposit box, changed the P.O. box for mail, even installed a ring cam that now mocked me with its offline status. She'd hacked me.
Or bribed.
Or both. What offer? My voice came out low, a rumble Dad would have recognized as prelude to thunder. I set the urn on the sideboard with deliberate care, right next to the crystal decanter she'd drained half of. The room's antiques, the grandfather clock ticking judgment, the oil portrait of great-great-grandpa Elias, who smuggled souls through these walls, seemed to lean in, witnesses to the unraveling. Mom's smile didn't crack, but her eyes flickered. That tell she'd had since I was a kid caught sneaking cookies, a micro-twitch at the corner of her mouth. 2.8. Darling. Full appraisal. Enough to set us both up in something modern. Without all this maintenance. She waved a hand, dismissive, at the peeling wallpaper, the warped floorboards that sang our family's dirge with every step.
Us.
I echoed, stepping closer, the brochures crumpling under my boot. Mark shifted, sensing the shift in air pressure. But Mom? She leaned forward, voice dropping to that conspiratorial purr she'd used to sell me on ballet lessons I hated, on the right colleges that chained me to debt. You've been away,
Gemma.
Grieving. I handled things. The roof's leaking. The taxes are killing us. And frankly, this old pile is a money pit. Elias's ghost isn't paying the bills. A pause. Theatrical. Her fingers toying with the stem of her glass. Besides, Dad would have wanted this. Security for his girls. Dad. The invocation hit like a sucker punch. Harlan Hargrove, the quiet engineer who'd spent his life propping up this relic, fighting off developers with petitions and pleas until his heart gave out in the vineyard behind the house, clutching a faded map of the secret tunnels beneath us. He died believing in legacy, in the weight of history we carried. And Mom? She'd been the one to find him, her scream echoing through the rows of Chardonnay vines like a siren's call. But I'd seen the ambulance report, the coroner's note on elevated stress markers. Stress from what? From her endless renovation schemes that chipped away at his savings. From the late-night arguments I'd pretended not to hear, where words like affair and embezzlement slithered through the walls. I took a breath, tasting bile. This isn't yours to sell.
Mom.
It's protected. Federal. You can't just. Can't I? She set her glass down with a clink that echoed like a gavel. Mark cleared his throat, gathering his tablet. Perhaps we table this? Ms. Hargrove, Gemma, let's schedule a walkthrough tomorrow. Family first. He bolted like a fox from hounds, leaving us in the hush of the parlor, the clock chiming 8 as if to mark the fracture. Mom rose, smoothing her slacks. And for a heartbeat, I saw the girl she'd been in Dad's photos, wide-eyed, hopeful, arm in arm with a younger Harlan under Napa's autumn leaves. Then it hardened, the mask slipping back. "You're exhausted, sweetie. Jet lag from Reno. Ashes in your lungs.
Sleep on it."
The papers are on your desk." She brushed past, her shoulder clipping mine, not accidental. That press of bone on bone, and vanished up the grand staircase, her heels clicking like dominoes falling. I didn't sleep.
Couldn't.
Instead, I raided the desk in Dad's study, the one with the hidden drawer behind false paneling, a trick he'd taught me at 10 during one of our fort-building games. There they were, the forged addendum to the deed, my signature scrawled in her looping hand, dated 2 weeks ago. And clipped to it, a bank statement, transfers to an offshore account, siphoning what was left of Dad's pension. $147,000.
Gone.
To pay off gambling debts? A lover in Vegas? The betrayal burned. But it was the note tucked in the margin that ignited the rage, for Gemma's own good. She'll thank me one day. Thank her? For stealing my anchor. The one piece of Dad I had left? The house wasn't just property, it was absolution. 20 years ago, when I was 18 and green as the vineyard grass, Mom had come home reeking of bourbon and regret, confessing she'd borrowed funds from Dad's firm, $50K to cover a bad bet on the ponies. The kind that spiraled into threats from bookies with Jersey accents. Dad was facing audit,
Ruin. Prison.
So I'd stepped in, the dutiful daughter, forging the ledger entries myself on his ancient PC, framing it as my intern mistake, juvenile record sealed. But the scar? It festered. I'd carried that lie through community college night classes, through the preservation job that paid peanuts but let me fight for places like this. All while Mom played the grieving widow at PDA meetings, her secrets safe in my silence. Now she was cashing in, flipping the script, so I was the fool. No more. I pocketed the documents, the urn's echo in my chest a war drum. Revenge wasn't a word I uttered lightly, too Hollywood, too clean for the muck of family blood, but as dawn bled pink over the hills, I vowed it. Not with fists or fire, but with the scalpel of truth. I'd unravel her, thread by thread, starting with the buyer. And if it meant dragging our skeletons into the Sonoma sun,
so be it.
The feds could wait. This was personal. By noon, I'd lawyered up Old Man Whitaker from the Historical Society, who owed Dad a favor from a '98 easement battle. Tampering with a register property? That's felony territory.
Gemma.
But proving intent, he trailed off, peering over bifocals at the addendum. This is your mother's hand? Like mine. But not. I tapped the forgery, the ink still fresh enough to smell. Whitaker whistled low, the sound of wind through eaves. We'll file an injunction. But it'll get ugly. Depositions. Headlines. Heiress battles Mom over slave-era manor. You ready for that circus? Circus. The word conjured Mom's charm offensive, interviews with the Press Democrat, her tearful quotes about providing for my daughter. But ugly was her language, the one she'd whispered during those post-confession nights, when she'd hug me too tight and murmur, "We're in this together, baby girl." Blood's thicker than ink. Thicker? Maybe.
But it spilled just as easy.
I spent the afternoon pacing the tunnels, Dad's hidden legacy. A warren of dirt-floored passages snaking under the property, lit by my phone's beam. Cobwebs clung like regrets. The air thick with earth and echo. Here, Elias had hidden souls. Maps etched in candle soot marking safe houses to the bay. I'd found Dad's journal last winter, tucked in a niche. Entries about Mom's shadows, cryptic warnings about debts that followed her from Atlanta. Shadows. Like the one that had driven her west. Fleeing a family fortune tainted by moonshine runners and worse. Had she confessed everything to Dad? Or was I the only repository of her sins? The realtor called a dusk mark. Voice oily as olive oil. MS. Hargrove, your mother's eager. Walk through tomorrow? The buyers are tech bros from the valley, big on adaptive reuse.
Lofts.
Tasting rooms. The works. Adaptive reuse. Code for gutting history for Instagram aesthetics. Tell them it's off, I said. Flat. Injunction pending. Silence. Then a chuckle. Your mom signed off. Verbal from you won't. It's my house. The line went taut. And I hung up, adrenaline spiking like bad espresso. Upstairs, Mom was in the kitchen, chopping onions with surgical precision. The sizzle of butter a domestic lie. Stir fry, she offered, not looking up. You look peaky. Peaky? I laughed. Bitter. From finding out you forged my signature? Or from the offshore wire to Cayman Trust? Her knife paused. Mid-carrot, juice beating like bloodless tears. Then, slow, she turned, face a mask of wounded dough. Gemma.
That's
Not what you think. It's for us. A nest egg. After Harlan, a sniff, artful, hand to heart. I couldn't watch you struggle. The word landed wrong. Dredging up the years I'd clawed for this, nights cataloging artifacts for the state, days fending off her suggestions to sell out for a condo in Florida. You mean watch me hold on to Dad's dream? The one you helped kill. Her eyes narrowed, the doe morphing to wolf. Kill? Don't you dare. I loved him. More than you ever could. You ungrateful. She bit it off, knife resuming its rhythm. Louder. The lawyers will sort it. Eat your dinner. I didn't. Instead, I retreated to my room, the attic garret with its slanted ceilings and view of the stars Dad said were escaped slaves' guides. Lying there, phone in hand, I scrolled Whitaker's draft injunction, the words blurring with fatigue. But sleep brought dreams, Mom's face in the tunnel shadows, whispering, "It was for you."
Gemma.
All of it. For me? The lie tasted like rust. Morning brought the surveyor, hired by Mark, tromping the grounds with stakes and GPS, marking build zones that violated every covenant. I confronted him at the trellis, coffee mug steaming in the fog. Private property.
Leave.
He blinked, clipboard raised like a shield. Ma'am, your mother authorized. She's not the owner. I snapped a photo, evidence piling like storm clouds. By 10, Whitaker's filing hit the county clerk, and the call started. Mom, hysterical from her spa day in Healdsburg, demanding I stop this tantrum. Then the press Democrat, sniffing scandal. Family feud over historic home? Any comment? Hemis. Hargrove. No comment. But as I watched the surveyor slink off, a plan crystallized. Revenge wasn't exposure. It was reclamation. I'd dig deeper, into her shadows. The Atlanta ghosts Dad hinted at. Hire a PI. Trace the wires. And when the truth surfaced, let it flood the sale like a burst levee. Little did I know, the first shovel strike would unearth not just her sins, but mine, the ones I'd buried deeper than Elias's tunnels. The private investigator's office smelled like stale cigars and stronger coffee. Tucked in a strip mall off Highway 101 where the fog rolled in like uninvited guests. Sal Rossi, ex-SFPD, Paunch straining his Aloha shirt, leaned back in his creaky chair, scanning my flash drive of bank statements with eyes like a hawk spotting roadkill. Offshores.
Huh.
Standard dodge for the desperate. But this? He tapped the screen, zooming on a transfer memo. Legacy payment YH. Your ma's initials. Tied to a shell in Savannah. Want the short version or the one that costs extra? Long, I said, sliding an envelope across the desk. $5,000 in cash. Scraped from my meager savings and Dad's coin collection. No traces. No mercy. The injunction had bought time. The judge set a hearing for next month. But Mom was already lawyering up with a shark from Napa, the kind who billed by the bottle. Whispers in town. She'd spun the tale as overprotective daughter blocking Mom's retirement. Sympathy flowed her way like free samples at Harvest Fair, old money closing ranks against the troublemaker who'd chosen preservation over profit. Sal lit a stub, smoke curling toward the water-stained ceiling. Evelyn Hargrove. Née Whitaker, no relation to your lawyer. Thank Christ. Born 52 in Macon, Georgia. Daddy was a cotton broker.
Mommy dar blue blood.
But the family's rotten at the core. Grandpappy ran hooch during Prohibition. Diversified into numbers rackets post-war. By the time Evelyn hit Sweet 16, the feds were sniffing Rico vibes before they had the name. She bolted west in '68, hitched to Frisco with a suitcase and a sob story. Met your dad at a Stones concert in the Fillmore. He was smitten. She was surviving. Surviving. The word echoed Mom's confessions. The late-night ones after Dad's firm folded under that audit I'd rigged to cover her tracks. She'd cry into my hair, breath sour with gin, murmuring about debts that chase you like hellhounds. I'd held her then, the girl who'd bandaged my scraped knees. Baked peach cobbler from Georgia recipes. Blood thicker.
But now?
It felt diluted.
Toxic.
Sal flipped pages. Yellowed clippings from the Atlanta Constitution. Here's the meat. 69. Your ma's popped for kiting checks. Daddy's account. $20,000 to fund a runaway boyfriend. Charges dropped when the family lawyered up. But the boyfriend? Found floating in the Chattahoochee. Ruled accident. Drowned drunk,
They said.
but whispers. He shrugged. The universal gesture for follow the money. She lands in California. Marries Harlan 71. Clean slate. Or so it seems. But looky here, 85. A civil suit from back east. Some trust fund suing for restitution on misappropriated assets. Settled quiet. Non-disclosure gag. Your old man ponied up half. Refinance the house. The house. Our fortress. Deeded to Dad by Elias's line in 45. Post-war boom when preservation was a pipe dream. Harlan had poured his engineer's soul into it, reinforcing beams. Mapping tunnels for the register nomination in '92. Mom had played the gracious hostess at tours. Charming docents with tales of abolitionist kin. But her eyes always strayed to the appraisal forms, calculating. And the boyfriend? My voice cracked. The urn's weight phantom in my lap. Sal stubbed the cigar. Gray face impassive. Name was Tommy Hale. Mechanic. Small-time hustler. Autopsy said booze and bad luck. But the coroner was on retainer to the Whitakers.
Could be nothing.
could be motive. He leaned in, breath minty over ash. Digging deeper? That's 10 more. And Gemma, families like this? They bury bodies. Literal and not. I left with a knot in my stomach. The kind that turns lunch to lead. Back home, the vineyard hummed with harvest crews, Mexican pickers Dad hired yearly. Their laughter a balm against the creeping dread. I wandered the rows, grapes heavy as secrets, crushing a cluster underfoot, juice staining my sneakers purple. Mom's car was gone, another errand, she texted. Emoji hearts like daggers. The realtor's sign still stood, defiant, but I'd spray-painted fraud across it in the night. Anonymous fury that earned a police wellness check I talked my way out of with teary grief. That evening, she returned with takeout from the Thai place in town, Pad, CEW. My favorite, peace offering wrapped in styrofoam. We ate in silence on the sun porch, the sunset bleeding orange over the hills like a bruise. The PI, she said finally, fork midway to mouth. Waste of money. Gemma. Dragging up ghosts won't change facts. The house is sinking us. Sinking you, I corrected, meeting her gaze over the wicker table. Her face was makeup perfect, but crow's feet betrayed the strain, sleepless nights. Perhaps. Or the mirror's accusation. What was Tommy Hale to you?
Mom.
The fork clattered. Noodles slithering like eels. Color drained from her cheeks, leaving powder ghosts. Who? But the twitch was there. That micro-betrayal. Atlanta. 69. The boyfriend who swam with gators. I pushed the clipping across. Sal's photocopy crisp as a warrant. Did Dad know? When he paid off the trust? When he refinanced to keep your wolves from the door? She crumpled the paper. Slow. Deliberate. Then met my eyes, not with tears, but steel. Tommy was a mistake. A boy with fast hands and faster lies. He thought he could bleed me dry. Run off with Daddy's silver. I left before it got ugly.
A pause.
Her voice dropping to that purr. Harlan knew enough. Loved me enough to look away. As should you. Look away. Laughter bubbled. Hysterical. Like I did for the firm? The $50,000 you borrowed that cost Dad his career? I went to juvie diversion for that. Mom. Forged docs at 18. While you played golf, widow. Her hand shot out, not slap, but grip. Nails digging my wrist. And I thanked you every day. Paid your tuition. Held you when the nightmares came. This house? It's poisoned us all. Elias's blood money, slaves traded for freedom papers. Deals cut in shadows. Sell it. Gemma. Let it go.
Poisoned.
The word lodged. Festering. I'd romanticize the legacy. Tours for school kids. Grants for restoration. But Sal's hints nod. Whitaker fortunes built on bent backs. Hooch-fueled bribes. Was Dad's heart attack just stress? Or the toll of propping a facade? I wrenched free. Standing. The chair scraping like a scream. The hearings in 30 days. Fight fair. Or I go public. All of it. She didn't rise. Just speared a shrimp, popping it like a pill. Public? You destroy us. For what? Bricks. For Dad. For me. But as I stormed to the attic, the tunnels calling like a siren's hum, doubt crept in. Sal's file mentioned a daughter. Tommy's? Mine?
No.
Impossible. Dad's features stamped my face. Still. The seed planted. Roots twisting. The next week blurred into reconnaissance. I shadowed Mom's errands, meetings with her Napa shark, lunches with the tech bros rep, a woman in Lululemon who eyed the property like a flip house. One night, tailing her Mercedes to a dive bar in Petaluma, I watched her slip into a booth with Mark the realtor. Their heads bent close. Laughter intimate. Affair? Leverage? My phone captured it all. Timestamps irrefutable. Whitaker pushed the injunction through, freezing the sale. But Mom countered with a countersuit, claiming undue influence from my grief-induced instability. Headlines hit. Daughter's revenge? Battle over $2.8 million legacy home turns family feud. Town divided. Old guard at the co-op siding with preservation. Wine crowd murmuring about entitled millennials blocking progress. Then Sal called. Voice gravel over static. Jackpot.
Kid.
Tommy Hale didn't drown. Bruises on the neck, strangulation. Covered up. Your ma's prints on a whiskey bottle at the scene, but Whitaker money buried it. And get this, Harlan? He confronted her 92. Post-suit settlement. Wanted divorce. She begged. Promise clean. But the trust? It wasn't just restitution. It was for a kid, Tommy's kid. Placed private. A girl. Born 69. Before she ran. A sister. The revelation slammed like a cellar door. Mom. Pregnant at 17. Shipped off. Baby girl vanished into adoption fog. Dad knew, loved her anyway. Or couldn't let go.
And me?
The replacement. Or pawn. I confronted her at dawn. The kitchen fogged with French roast. Who is she? Mom? My sister? Tommy's ghost. She froze. Mug midway. Then set it down with a sigh that aged her a decade. Lillian. Lily. I was a child myself. Gemma.
Scared.
Daddy's men. Handled Tommy. I ran to forget. Tears now. Real ones. Carving tracks through foundation. Harlan found out. Forgave me. Made me his. But the house? He clung to it like penance. For not saving Lily. Sell it. Free us.
Free.
The word hung. Tempting. But revenge whispered louder. Expose the cover-up.
Tank the sale.
Watch her empire crumble. Yet as she reached for my hand, the grip familiar, I wavered. Blood thicker. Or was it just chains? The hearing loomed, sides drawn. I chose the blade, not the bomb. But in the tunnels that night, unearthing Dad's last letter. Protect her.
Gemma.
From the shadows. And herself. I wondered if the real betrayal was mine. For loving monsters. The courtroom in Santa Rosa smelled like polished pine and desperation. The kind that seeped from divorce filings and DUIs stacked in the docket. I sat ramrod in the gallery. Gemma Hargrove reduced to spectator in my own war. While Mom's shark, Victor Lang, silver fox with a Rolex that screamed billable hours, painted her as the victim, Evelyn Hargrove. A widow clinging to dignity. Sabotaged by a daughter's vengeful delusions. Delusions. The word stung. But I bit my tongue. Whitaker beside me murmuring. Steady. Our rebuttals, iron. The judge. A no-nonsense type named Reyes with salt and pepper bun and glasses perched like a challenge. Scan the briefs. MS. Hargrove, Sr., this petition for partition. You claim co-ownership via marital equity.
Mom.
Poised in Chanel suit the color of storm clouds. Leaned into the mic. Yes. Your Honor. Harlan and I built that home together. 30 years of sweat.
Love.
Sacrifice. Gemma's grief has twisted her. She's hoarding a relic that's bleeding us dry. Her voice cracked artfully on love, eyes flicking to me not hate, but pity. The actress nailing her close-up. Gallery murmured. The local stringer from the Bohemian jotting furiously. Whitaker rose for cross. His drawl measured. Mrs.
Hargrove.
The deed transfer was sold to Gemma. Postmarital. With your notarized consent. Care to explain the forged addendum? Objection sustained. Hearsay. Chain of custody. Lang smirked, but I saw Mom's twitch. The mask fraying. Then the bombshell. Sal's affidavit. Entered via subpoena. Detailing the offshore wires. Embezzlement intent? Reyes echoed, brow furrowing. Lang spun it as prudent financial planning, but the damage landed, whispers turning to stares. Mom's cheeks flushing under powder. Recess hit like a mercy kill, the hall buzzing with reporters. Mom cornered me by the vending machine, her perfume cloying. Call it off, Gemma. Before it all spills. Her hand on my arm. Grip iron. Lily's alive. In Portland. I kept tabs quiet. For her sake. Expose me. You expose her shame too. Lily. The name conjured a phantom sister. A mirror to my scars. You used Dad's death to leverage this? His heart. His heart was weak long before, she hissed.
Low.
Venom sweet. From chasing your ghosts.
Gemma.
The firm? My fault. Yes. But he chose to cover. Like you did. We're Hargroves. We protect our own.
Protect.
Or possess. I shook free as Reyes reconvened. Ruling injunction upheld. Countersuit dismissed pending forensic on the forgery. Victory tasted like ash. Mom's glare as she swept out promised war. Outside. The November rain lashed the parking lot, turning asphalt to mirror of my fracture. Whitaker clapped my shoulder. You bought time.
Kid.
But she'll appeal. And the press. He nodded to the cluster by my truck. Mike's thrust like bayonets. Historic home heiress triumphs over Mom's greed. I ducked in, engine roaring defiance, but alone. Tears mixed with wipers. Was this revenge? Or just dragging us deeper? The drive home wound through Alexander Valley. Vines stripped bare. Skeletons against the gray. Phone buzzed, unknown number. Portland area code. Heart slamming. I pulled over. Fog cloaking the cab. Hello. Static. Then a woman's voice. Hesitant. Mid-40s timbre, like Mom's but softer. Laced with Northwest chill. Gemma?
It's
Lily. Our mother gave me this number. Said things were complicated. Complicated. Understatement of the century. How did you? A letter. Arrived yesterday. About the house. The fight. She begged me not to call.
but.
I read the clippings. Portland's small. History buffs talk. A pause. Breath shaky. I'm adopted. Raised by teachers in Beaverton. No drama.
Just.
Normal. But this? It pulls at threads I didn't know were there.
Threads.
I gripped the wheel. Knuckles white. She's trying to sell it out from under me. The legacy, our legacy. Elias's tunnels. Dad's life. She forged. I know about Tommy, Lily cut in. Gentle blade. My files. Unsealed at 18. Accident.
They said.
But the bruises. I hired a guy once. After a bad breakup. He said it looked like hands. Mom's hands. A silence stretched. Rain drumming requiem. Dad, Harlan knew. Loved her anyway. Died for it. Maybe. The words tumbled. Confessional. Lily listened. No judgment, just the hum of connection across miles. Come see it, I blurted. The house. Before she gets it. I can't. Not yet. But Gemma. Don't let hate win. She ran to save me from that world. Maybe the house is her chain too. We hung up. Her words a thorn in my resolve. Back at the manor. Mom waited on the porch. Drenched but unbowed. The for sale sign toppled like a fallen soldier. Truce. She held out a towel, no. Dad's old flannel. Frayed from vineyard work. I called her.
Lily.
Told her the truth.
Truth.
The word mocked as I toweled dry. The fabric warm from her dryer. Inside. Over whiskey in the study. Dad's Glenlivet. Poured neat. We circled like wary cats. Why now? I asked, glass sweating in my palm. The sale? Her laugh was brittle. Ice and bourbon. Cancer. Gemma. Stage 3. Docs gave me months last spring. Harlan's gone. Lily's a stranger.
You.
I wanted security. For you. If not me.
Lie?
Truth? Her eyes. Shadowed. Held no twitch. Cancer. The revelation hollowed me. Rage deflating to grief's echo. You could have said. And you'd believe? After the firm. The lies? She sipped. Wincing. I flip because I have to. Survival's a mask. Baby. Tommy was the first. Harlan the redemption. But the house. It reminds me of failures. Elias profited from pain. We just polished the chains.
Polished.
The tours. The grants. I'd done that.
Proud.
But Lily's call lingered. Don't let hate win. Revenge forked. Exposed the Atlanta cover-up. Federal charges for fraud. Watch Mom wither in a cell? Or mercy?
Sell quietly.
Split the proceeds. Let ghosts rest? Night deepened. Rain easing to patter. I showed her Dad's letter. The one from the tunnels. Shadows chase Evelyn. But light her path. Gemma. Forgive. As I have. Her sob broke the dam real.
Raw.
The girl from Macon surfacing. We talked till dawn. Lily's adoption broker. A Whitaker fixer. Tommy's accident. A pushed rage she regretted nightly. The offshore as chemo fund. Not escape. Dawn brought decision. I dropped the fraud claim. Negotiate the sale, with covenants intact. Adaptive reuse as museum vineyard hybrid. Preservation with profit. But the twist gnawed. Sal called mid-morning. Voice urgent. Forget Atlanta. Dug into Harlan's death. Autopsy addendum.
Sealed.
Not heart attack. Poison. Slow acting. From the vineyard sprays. But traces match Evelyn's garden shed. Rat poison. Arsenic base. Poison. Mom's flip. Her weak heart lie. Rage reignited. But twisted. Had she euthanized mercy? Or murdered greed? Lily texted. Saw the appeal filing. Call me. Sides blurred. No heroes in blood. The climax brewed. Confront. Record. Let the court, or Lily, decide. But as I pocketed the addendum, Mom's voice from the kitchen. Gemma? Breakfast. Then we call the buyers. Her back turned, knife in hand, chopping fruit. Or threat. I chose the bluff. Revenge's razor edge. One condition, I said, entering. Full truth. About Dad. Her knife stilled. Truth hurts. Darling. But she turned, eyes gleaming defiance. Or defeat. The storm broke that afternoon. Not rain. But thunder, Lang's emergency motion. Alleging my mental instability with planted emails. Forged therapy notes. Mom's hand? Or desperation. I drove to Petaluma. Sal's office a bunker. Piecing the frame.
She's cornered, he said.
Baying hounds turn on masters. Back home, the tech bros arrived unannounced. 2 VCs and Teslas. All smiles and NDAs. Touring with Mom like proud realtor. I crashed the party. Injunction printout waving.
Out.
Federal freeze.
De taller 1.
Buzz cut and startup swagger.
Left. Chill. Sis.
We're visionaries, lofts with tunnel speakeasies. History 2.0. His partner nodded, eyeing me appraisingly. Your mom's on board. Cut us in. We make you rich.
Rich.
The American Dream. Sonoma edition. Mom watched. Silent. Her mask a plea. Choose progress. Or perish.
E chose qu'au.
History's not a gimmick. Grabbed a bust, Elias's marble glare, from the mantel. Heaved it at the sign outside. Glass shattered. Shards like accusations. They bolted. Mom shrieking, Gemma, stop. But I didn't. Dialed 911 vandalism report. Self-inflicted, to cement her fraud narrative crumbling. As sirens wailed distant, her face twisted, not mother, but survivor. You'll regret this. Regret. The word cycled as cops arrived. Statements taken under porch light. No arrests, property damage minimal. But the headlines? Heiress trashes own legacy in Mom's standoff. Side split. Me. The madwoman, her. The martyr. Lily called that night. Voice steel. I'm coming. Tomorrow. We end this.
End.
But as Mom locked herself in the master, key turning like a tomb seal, I wondered, whose end? Lily arrived at noon, stepping from a rented Prius, like a specter materializing from the mist, tall, angular, where Mom was curves, her auburn hair pulled taut, eyes green as the Chardonnay leaves rustling in the valley breeze. She carried a duffel and a file box. No hugs. Just a nod that bridged the chasm of lost years. Portland traffic's a beast, she said, voice carrying that Pacific Northwest lilt, all flannel and restraint. But this? She gestured to the house. Its facade scarred by yesterday's frenzy, the shattered sign shard swept. But the fracture lines spiderwebbing the parlor window like accusations etched in glass. Feels like stepping into a Ken Burns doc gone noir.
Noir. Fitting.
I'd barely slept. The arsenic addendum burning a hole in my jeans pocket. Sal's warning looping. Confront careful.
Gemma.
Poisoners don't confess clean. Mom had barricaded in the master suite since the cop lights faded, emerging only for coffee black as her mood. Her glances daggers wrapped in maternal silk. Family meeting, she'd quip. But the air crackled, electric with unspoken verdicts. We settled in the kitchen, me at the island, Lily across. Mom summoned by the creak of floorboards overhead. The room was harvest gold. sunlight slanting through gingham curtains, mocking the tension with domestic normalcy. Lily unpacked photos first. Her adoption papers, faded Polaroids of a baby bundled in Atlanta hospital blues. "This is us," she said, sliding one across. Mom at 17, swollen-bellied, arm around a lanky Tommy, his grin cocky under a flat cap. He wasn't a monster.
Gemma.
Just young. Like her. The drowning. She pushed him in a fight. Held too long. Panic. Not plan. Daddy's fixers called it accident. Shipped me west to protect the name. Mom descended then. Robes cinched like armor. Face ashen under last night's mascara smudges. She froze in the doorway. Mug clattering to saucer. Lily. The name escaped like a prayer. Or curse. She crossed slow, hand outstretched, but Lily held up the file, autopsy redux. Bruises circled in red ink. "You came," Mom whispered, sinking into a chair, the fight leaching out like air from a punctured tire. "I told you not to. For her." Lily nodded my way, the gesture knitting us, sisters in sepia, bound by shared ghosts. Gemma's fighting for the house. But the addendum, Dad's death. Arsenic traces. Garden shed key in your jewelry box. Mom's laugh was hollow, echoing off the Aga oven. Euthanasia. Not murder. Harlan begged me.
The pain.
Months of chemo mocks, he called them. End it. Eve. In the vineyard. Under the stars. I crushed the pellets in his wine. Our vintage. The '98 cab he loved. Mercy kiss. Tears now. Unchecked. Carving rivers. The sale? For you girls. Lily's firm footing. Gemma's freedom from this mausoleum. Cancer's my shadow. But the house? It's the noose. Mercy. The word hung, divisive as a jury poll. I'd seen Dad's decline. The coughs masked his allergies. The weight melt that he blamed on project stress. Preservation battles had aged him. Yes. But poison? Voluntary or coerced? Lily's face mirrored my churn, pity warring with prosecution. Why not tell us? Hospice. Lawyers. Shame. Mom cut in. Voice raw. Whitaker pride. And Gemma, you judge. Like Harlan did at the end. Finish what you started. Eve, he gasped. The firm.
Tommy. Me.
Judgment. The addendum burned hotter. I slapped it down. Sal's notes fluttering. Forensics says slow dose. Weeks. Not nightcap. Opportunity for regret. Her eyes met mine. Not defiant, but broken. The girl from Macon. Cornered. Regret? Every swallow. But love's a poison too.
Gemma.
I dosed to dull his pain. Mine. Call it what you will. The room spun. Factions forming in my head. Mom the monster. Or martyr. Lily broke the stasis. Voice steady. We sell. But on terms museum trust. Tunnels preserved. Split proceeds 3 ways. And the cycle. Cycle. Tempting. The American compromise. Capitalism cloaked in culture. But revenge's whisper persisted. The scalpel I'd sharpened through nights of doubt. And the feds. I pressed, glancing at Mom. Forgery. Elder. Dad abuse charges. Lily's intake sharp. But Mom nodded. Resigned. Your call. Darlings. I've danced my dance. We talked hours, lawyers looped in via Zoom. Whitaker haggling variances with the Tech Bros Council. By dusk. Outline sketched. Sale at $2.8 million. 60% to preservation endowment. 40% split. Covenants ironclad, no lofts. Just experiential tours. Vineyard events funding the trust. Lily's cut to her life in Portland. A quiet anchor. Mine to start fresh. Maybe a cabin in Tahoe. Away from ghosts. But as night fell, the twist uncoiled. Sal texted coordinates, a safe drop.
Urgent.
I slipped out, leaving sisters in hushed conference, driving the F-150 through moonlit vines to a pullout overlooking the Russian River. Sal waited, envelope in hand, face grim under sodium lamp. One more thread.
Gemma.
Harlan's journal, full version. Not your tunnel snippet. He suspected Evelyn from the start. The firm embezzlement? Not her first. Tommy was bait. She played him to skim Whitaker coffers. Fund her escape. But the real bomb, you're not his. Not his. The words detonated. World tilting. Journal pages spilled. DNA test. 95. After scare, my blood type mismatch. Harlan loved her lie. Raised you true. But Evelyn? She confessed pre-wedding, Tommy's seed. Or another hustler's. He buried it. For the family. Tommy's? Or worse. I drove back numb. The house aglow like a beacon, or trap.
Inside.
Laughter drifted, Lily's. Mom's. A harmony I'd never known. Betrayal layered. Mom's secrets a Russian doll of deceit. Dad's silence complicity. Revenge? Pointless now. A mirror to their flaws. Dawn brought the climax. Unscripted. The Tech Bros stormed the gate, furious at delays. Backed by Lang's writ for immediate possession. I met them at the trellis. Lily flanking. Mom behind like a specter. Out. I barked. But Buzzcut sneered. Contracts binding. Mom signed. Mom lied. I tossed the journal excerpt. Paternity bomb exposed. Gasps rippled, their rep filming for leverage. Lang on speaker crowing blackmail. Chaos erupted. Shouts. Shoves, no fists. But the press of bodies electric. Lily yanked me back. Mom lunging forward, not defense, but plea. Stop. It's mine to ruin. In the melee, her scarf caught the trellis rose. Thorns raking flesh, blood welling. Real crimson on white silk. She collapsed. Not dramatics, but faint, chemo's toll. Or poison's echo. Ambulance wailed. The brothers scattering like roaches. In the ER. Fluorescent hell. Lily held vigil while I paced. The addendum crumpled in fist. Mercy or murder. Paternity or ploy. Nurses bustled. Mom stabilized hypoglycemia. They said. But her eyes when they opened. Knowing. Weary. Tell them.
Gemma. All.
I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I chose the gray. Withdraw charges. Seal the journal. Let the sale proceed with safeguards.
But the twist?
Lily's whisper as we drove home. I ran the DNA. From the files. Tommy was ours half-brother, not father. Mom's lied to protect Harlan's pride. But the arsenic. Traces in my adoption broker's records. Whitaker poison. Legacy gift. Dad took it knowing. Knowing. The revelation split me, hero. Fool. Victim? Readers, if this were tabloid fodder, would pick sides, forgive the flawed mother, or prosecute the chain. I chose neither. burning the journal in the tunnel hearth that night, ashes scattering like freed souls. But as flames died, Mom's voice from the shadows. You kept it. She'd followed, frail but fierce. The truth, some. We sat in earth-dirt silence, sister's absence a void. Why me? Not Lily. You fought, she said simple. Like Harlan. Blood calls to blood.
Blood.
Thicker. Or just the vein we bleed from. The sale closed weeks later. Checks cashed. Trust funded. I kept a wing, the attic. Tunnels mine. Lily visited monthly. Building bridges. Mom lingered. Remission flickering. Her mask shed for vulnerability's raw edge. Yet in quiet nights, doubt lingers. Was mercy weakness? Or the truest revenge? Robbing her of villainy? Forcing mirror's gaze? The vineyard bloomed defiant come spring. New leaves unfurling like tentative flags of truce. The $2.8 million alchemy turning thorns to tentative peace. I stood at the overlook, same as Dad's proposal. Same as the ash-scattering bluff in Reno, watching crews retrofit the carriage house into a tasting annex. Hammers echoing like hesitant heartbeats. The tech bros had their experiential win. Weekend warriors sipping Cab Franc in Elias's old study. VR tours of the tunnels sanitized for school groups, no ghosts. Just gloss. But the covenants held. No bulldozers. No erasure. My slice funded a fellowship, preservation scholars bunking in the garret, piecing histories I once guarded alone. Lily thrived in the hybrid, commuting from Portland quarterly. Her urban planners, eyes sharpening the blueprint, solar panels on the stables, accessibility ramps to the hidden doors. Redemption arc, she quipped over Easter brunch. Her laugh lighter than mine, unscarred by Sonoma soil. Mom joined us that day. Wig askew but spirits buoyed, remission holding, like a grudge half forgiven. She'd downsized to the guest cottage. Her Mercedes traded for a hybrid, the Chanel gathering dust. Volunteering at the co-op, she announced. Passing deviled eggs with a wink. Teaching canasta to the widows. Less drama. Drama. The word summoned the headlines that had crested then crashed. Toxic legacy. Hargrove house sale seals family secrets. Sal's discreet leaks, redacted. Of course, had fueled the fire. But I'd stonewalled the deep dives. No DNA bombshells.
No arsenic exposé.
Lang's threats fizzled in settlement NDAs. The brothers content with their ROI. Town gossip simmered, me the fierce guardian, Mom the tragic matriarch, but the divide lingered. Barstool philosophers picking sides over IPAs. Was Evelyn a survivor or serpent? Harlan a saint or sap?
Me?
Fool or fixer? Revenge. In the end, proved a mirage. Chasing it had scorched the earth. But the oasis was this, fragile family, forged in fire's afterglow. Yet twists don't tie neat bows, they knot deeper. Sal retired to Tahoe that summer, mailing a final file, unbidden. His conscience fee. Inside, a '69 hospital record. Mom's labor chart. A notation scribbled by the attending. Father, T. Hale. Confirmed via amnio. Mother hysterical. Insists termination. Denied. Hysterical. The girl. Cornered by kin's expectations. Choosing flight over fight. Tommy's drowning? Self-defense in the rage of revelation. His hands not hers on the throat, but mutual maelstrom. Whitaker fixers had twisted it. Buried the baby to save face. And Dad? His journal's burn hadn't erased the subtext. He'd suspected the paternity ploy from wedding night. But loved the lie, loved me. his chosen daughter. Blood be damned. The arsenic? A pact. Whispered in pain. Ease me out.
Eve.
Before the shadows claim us both. Mercy mutual. A final flip of their shared script. I shared none with Lily, her piece too hard won, or Mom, whose eyes still twitched at edges. Masks mended but translucent. Instead, I poured it into the land, plaque at the tunnel mouth. For Harlan, keeper of truths, vines replanted with disease-resistant stock. A bulwark against rot. Fall brought the first tour group, historians from UC Davis. Clipboards and questions probing like therapists. I led them through the passages, lantern light dancing on walls etched with fugitive tallies. Elias's code. This wasn't glory, I told them. Voice steady in the damp hush. It was survival. Messy. Moral gray. Choices that haunt. A prof nodded. Pen scratching. Like your family story? The sale made waves. Preservation versus progress. You threaded the needle. Threaded. Or tangled. Questions lingered post-tour. Over charcuterie in the annex. Did I forgive too quick? Expose for justice. Damn the fallout. Mom hovered at the edges. Pouring samples. Her charm a shield turned service. Lily cornered me by the vines. Sunset gilding her face. She's trying.
Gem.
Therapy. Even. Group 4, complicated mothers. Complicated. The euphemism for monsters in therapy. And you? No grudge for the erasure. She shrugged, plucking a grape. Juice bursting tart. Grudges are weights. I chose light. But you. That night with the bust? I saw the rage. Still there?
There.
A ember under ash. Flaring at doubts, the offshore remnants she'd squirreled pre-sale. A rainy day fund I let slide, her glances at eligible widowers. Flips flirting with fresh starts. But the real debate?
Mine.
Had revenge's denial made me complicit? Polishing chains anew? Or freed us? Gray, be damned. Winter's solstice sealed it. Or cracked it wide. Snow dusted the hills, rare for Sonoma. A fairy tale lie, and we gathered in the parlor. Trees strung with Elias's heirloom ornaments. Fire crackling confessions. Mom raised a toast. Prosecco fizzing. To blood thicker. Or just stubborn. Laughter.
Tentative.
But Lily's gift silenced us. A locket. Antique. Engraved Lily and Gemma. 1969. Inside. Twin curls, hers blonde. Mine auburn from baby books we'd never shared. Then the twist. Soft as snowfall. Mom's hand trembled. Locket slipping. I kept them. All these years. Tommy's too. In the attic box. Her voice broke. Not act. Forgive me. Lily teared. Hugging fierce.
Me?
I held back. The ember flickering. Some debts aren't paid in words. But I clasped the chain. Cool against skin. And joined the embrace. 3 shadows merging. Not erasing. Months later. As vines budded anew. A letter arrived anonymous. Postmarked Savannah. Whitaker kin. Closing ranks. The past stays buried. Or we dig. Threat? Olive branch? I burned it in the hearth. Ashes to wind. But the debate endures. Was silence strength? Or surrender? Mercy the ultimate revenge. Forcing survival sans spectacle? In the end, the house stands protected.
Profited.
Haunted. I walk the tunnels alone sometimes. Lantern low. Whispering to Dad. We threaded it.
Harlan.
Messy as hell. his echo, laughter, or wind. Either way, the legacy lives not in bricks, but blood's stubborn pulse. No one's wholly right, wholly wrong. That's the American curse, grayscale glory, where revenge tastes like regret, and forgiveness like the bite of unripe fruit. Choose your side, reader. The vines don't judge, they just endure.